what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another video here for you. Got a 2004 Toyota Tundra with stolen catalytic converters here. You can see they're both gone. Luckily the flange is still intact, so we just need to disconnect those flanges, and the ones we got are direct fit, and hopefully they'll line up pretty well. First thing I'm going to do is soak these. You can see there's quite a bit of rust and corrosion on these bolts and nuts that hold these flanges together. So we're just going to soak these down with some PB Blaster and give them a chance to really penetrate in there. This stuff right here works really well for this. We'll let that PB Blaster do its thing. So I don't have the converters yet, so I'm just gonna let this soak in, and then hopefully when we come back, we'll be able to break those loose. So we got some aftermarket catalytic converters. We're in California, so these are legal for California, made by Walker. OEM ones are too hard to get. I don't know that they're discontinued, but they're out of stock everywhere. We just need to unbolt these pieces and put the new ones on. Hopefully they'll come out without too much trouble, and let's get to it. Let's see if we get lucky here. Oh boy. That is not wanting to come off. Let's try this one here. Nope. I didn't bring the big impact with me, so I may need to go get that. All right, let's see if this will take it off. Okay, we got that one. I know these are not impact sockets, it's just all I brought with me. That one's not having it. All right, let's give it a try here. Nope. All right, we need to go get the big one. Okay, so let's see if this thing, we can get it loosened up. Got it. All right, we got lucky. Let's see if these guys will break loose too. There we go. I didn't think these were captive to this bracket here, but it looks like they are. Little spot welds on there. Yeah, I guess they are. So we twisted this one. I'll just bend that back. Pull this off. Probably not a bad idea to get new hardware for this. I do have some stuff. We'll clean this up before we put it back together. There we go. All right. So this piece, of course, it's cut right there. Instead of trying to undo the oxygen sensor bolts, I'm just gonna disconnect it here, and then we'll take this over to the tailgate where we can take this apart a little bit easier. There we go. Now we're still stuck in this rubber bushing here, but hopefully we can just kind of twist that out. And then our last piece is the driver's side. See if we can get these off. All right, so we got our new converter here. It's slightly different, of course, because it is aftermarket. Unfortunately, one of these studs bent, but I'm gonna try to get these nuts off for right now and get this oxygen sensor out of here. That's nice, that came off. No luck on that one, but we might be able to use one of these extractor sockets on there. Yeah, that might work. got it. I'm telling you, these extractor sockets, these are Irwin brand. These have really come in handy for me over the years, because I can tell you there was no way a regular socket was going to take that off. Just completely corroded and rounded, so we need to get some replacements for this. Luckily, that is the same thread. I do have some spares of the larger ones, but I don't know if I have any little ones. I'll have to double check. See if we can reuse this gasket here too. Yep. All right, the threads on this are a little banged up too. I'm sure this just had a little shipping mishap. We'll try to clean those up, but for right now, I'm gonna put on the bad nut. It's already damaged. Gonna try to thread that on part way maybe. And then I'm just gonna hit this with a hammer and see if I can bend it back. Well, it's not perfectly straight, but I think it'll hold the oxygen sensor on there. We'll just put that back in. I think it's gonna work. We're gonna make it work. As long as it's on there, as long as it stays tight, it's gonna work. Before I put these in, I do wanna clean up all the hardware. So I've got this little metric rethreader kit by Lang Tools. You can see how bad this is. It's all full of rust. This is the M10 by 1.25. And we're just gonna put this on here and run it back and forth several times on all the hardware. I'm just gonna do this just to clean everything up. So usually I'll just put something on here to lube or clean that. I'm just using the PB Blaster. I'm just gonna run it back and forth a few times. You can see this just cleans out all the rust and junk in your hardware and in all these bolts and nuts. Again, probably a great idea just to grab new hardware if you're doing this. But we didn't, and just need to get this back on the road. Big difference though in that bolt now compared to what they looked like before. So I'm gonna do that to the rest of these. Yeah, that one was kind of binding up there for a second, but it cut right through that rust. And there it is. That's gonna work. And we're gonna do the same thing with each of the nuts. Use this tool right here. Now we'll start with these ones. So you saw this was on the flange. I didn't realize that these are spot welded. You can see right there where they are. And I kind of twisted this one, but I just kind of tried to twist that back. So I think it's gonna work out. We may have a little challenge lining that up. I can mess with that a little bit more when we get under the car. But as far as the threads, I just want to make sure these are all good and clean and ready to go as well. Good as new, really. See some of that crud still comes out of there. Let's do the other one. I'm happy with that. Look at that. Those are going to work just fine. All right, let's do the rest. There we go. Okay, those are good. And now we just have a handful of these guys here. I'm also going to take this little thread restore and just run it up on each one of these studs. Actually feels okay. Let's do the other two and see how they feel. This one's a little rougher. Let's go ahead and run it down on that stud. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, let's go do the other side. Same thing, we'll just clean up the studs on this side here too. Although they look okay. Really no major binding on that. So I think these ones, like I said, these are still in pretty good shape. I think that'll work. This does not come with gaskets. I'm gonna have to just throw the old ones on. Might wanna grab some of these gaskets. I don't necessarily know that they're supposed to be reused, but I think they're gonna work for us. So this one's ready to go back on, so let's go put this one on. I need to go past these bolts first. There we go. I'm just gonna get these started for right now, just to hold it up in place. Just gotta make sure we don't cross thread these. Just making these all snug now. Okay, that one's started. I'm really hoping I can get this started. There we go. Yep, we got it. Just gotta make sure we make these nice and snug so we don't get any exhaust leaks. Okay, so passenger side's done. Got it all tight up front and back here. And I just need to get some replacement nuts for that oxygen sensor on the driver's side. And then we'll put that one in. I ended up just grabbing a couple nuts that I had at home that would fit on these studs. So let's put this guy back together. We're reusing that gasket, and this little shield just goes on here. Luckily, we were able to bend that one back. I just ran that re-threader down on there too, just to make sure it was cleaned up. I know these are not the right nuts for this, but it'll hold that oxygen sensor on. Shouldn't be a problem. Just make them snug. That looks good. And we're ready to go put the driver's side on. Again, on these gaskets, I just pulled them off the broken pieces, or the old pieces, and we are going to reuse these on the new one here. All right, we just got to feed this up and over this cross member that holds the transmission. Now, before you put that up in the front, just like when we took it off, we got to push this little rubber bushing on. Now, it helps just to give a little squirt of WD-40 here. That WD-40 is the trick. Perfect. This front one just lines up, and we'll just get these started. And same with the back one here. Just get these started. You just want to tighten this until that gap completely closes, and then just make it snug. Plug the oxygen sensor back in. Now we just need to tighten this front flange here. Just make them nice and snug. You can kind of feel when the flange is touching and then there's no gap. And then just go around and snug each one of them. And that's pretty much everything. Converters are back on, bolted up, good to get back on the road. Another thing we will need to do is, because these are aftermarket, we do need to go to the California Smog referee station, and then they will issue a new label that you need to take every time you need to smog this to the smog shop, because they're not OEM. As far as preventing future theft, of course you could do a cage or a shield or paint these and engrave them. Many other things you can do. That might slow the thieves down, but it just seems to be a never-ending problem here, and at least in California, it's a huge issue. If this happened to you and that's why you're watching this, I'm sorry that you're going through this. These are extremely expensive. I will get a link to these replacement converters that we used. It is doable. It is something that you can change, especially when they cut them where they did, and we didn't have to do any welding. We were able just to undo the bolts and put in the new ones, and this is ready to get back on the road. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. Like I said, I'll get a link in the description to some of the parts and tools used in the video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.